Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to session number 42 of our course on organizational theory and design. And today we are going to talk about the last topic of our course, because we have discussed all the other modules. We just discussed the dynamic process modules, which we were talking about in the last session, in which we discussed about the power, politics, and collaboration issues. Today, it is not a separate topic which we are going to talk about in the coming two sessions. We have discussed these issues before. Therefore, I won't call it a new topic, but it is new because it puts things in a new perspective. And the name of the topic which we will continue discussing for two sessions is the contemporary trends in organizations. We have seen various ways how companies are operated, what sort of designs are used, what structures are used, what strategies are used. But in these two sessions, we will focus what is required for today's environment. What is required for this environment of globalization, this current environment of globalization, what does it demand? And before we come to the demands of globalization, it will be worthwhile to add that globalization is a recent phenomenon spanning over the last about 2 decades. And because of it, it has created immense pressure on the organizations to respond, because globalization has changed the way we used to live. Now, with the advent of mobile technology and IT and computers and PCs and connectivity, our lives have changed. Our personal lives have changed, our organizational lives have changed. And we have made adjustments to these changes in our personal life. We use mobiles, we use PCs, or some of the members of our family are they do have these devices, they are connected with other people. So if that has affected us, and if we look at the TV and the TV channels and the revolution of the age of satellites and digitalization, we will come to the conclusion that yes, globalization has affected us immensely in our personal life. Now, if something has affected our personal lives, we cannot assume that it will not affect our organizational lives, because organizations are but a collection of individuals, collection of people from the society, the same society where the various forces of globalization are at work. So if they have affected us individually, if they have affected us as a society, as a nation, how can it be possible that globalization can be ignored at organizational level? Now, how to respond to this challenge of globalization is the topic of our discussion. And we will see how companies have responded to globalization and what structures and designs are available in this global arena of competition. We will start with the issue of organizational excellence, because you must have encountered this term somewhere, organizational excellence. What do we exactly mean by it in the light of globalization? Is it only a very high profitability which creates excellence? Is it a very high return on the shares for the shareholders which create excellence? Or is it something else? Or is it a combination of many things which create organizational excellence? Because organizational excellence is put forward as the first defense or as the first strategy to cope the demands and pressures of globalization. When we talk about organizational excellence, in fact, we are referring to a company in terms of 4 variables. Or we can say that we are studying that company in the light of 4 variables, and then we decide whether this company has organizational excellence or not. And those four variables are strategic orientation, the top management and its role, organizational design, organizational culture. So we will see how globalization has affected these variables and how companies responded to globalization. First of all, we will take strategic orientation. As you remember, we started this course with the discussion of strategic management, and we talked about the goals, the objectives, the mission, the visions, the various ways the companies make their strategies. Having a strategy does not mean that we are meeting the requirements of globalization, because strategic management is a field which is much older than the notion of globalization. People used to make strategies 50 years ago, 60 years ago. What effect has occurred on the process of strategizing under globalization? That is what we need to talk about. As we mentioned already, that globalization has equipped people with mobiles, with computers, with many channels. What are these devices? These are all basically information resources. Be it a mobile or a PC or a TV monitor, they are all sources of information. So our customer of today is a knowledgeable customer, is an informed customer. So this change in the knowledge level or the information level of the consumer is a hallmark of globalization, because globalization has caused this change. So in order to meet this change, in order to cope with this change, companies need to change their strategic orientation from whatever they have to a strategic orientation which brings them close to their customer. Now, that is not a cliche or a rhetoric when I use the word close to customers, because in globalization, coming close to customer is a necessity. Because if we are away from that customer, and remember, this customer is knowledgeable, this customer is informed, this customer can buy and sell maybe on using a computer. So if we are not close to this customer, then he will move somewhere else, because he is quality conscious. He knows what is value for his money. He will not spend his money on a product which is made by a company which does not cater to his demands. So he will move somewhere else. So the first change in the strategic orientation of a company should be to become close to customer and provide fast response to their queries, because as you must have seen on various websites, if you go to a home page of any company or any place from where you can do trading or from where you can buy and sell on the computer, you will encounter a home page, and in that home page you will find a separate heading FAQ, or frequently asked questions. So companies have taken the initiative of providing information to customers straight away without their queries, by telling them that these are the frequently asked questions about our services. And on top of it, if you have a specific query, then please contact us at this email. And if somebody is there to respond to that email, then we are providing a fast response to our customer, and we can say that we are probably getting close to our customer. But if that email is not answered, or if that email is answered after 15 days, the customer might have moved somewhere else, because now the life is very fast. Now it is not like 20 years ago or 30 years ago, where the customer has no other option and he will sit and wait for your reply. He will move somewhere else. He will open another website. What he needs is just a click, and he will move somewhere else, and he will probably find a better deal there. So once he has logged on to you, it is your responsibility to retain him. And he can only be retained if we provide him with a quick response with quality service and if we understand what he needs from us. And the strategic orientation, especially with keeping the customer, this informative and knowledgeable and demanding customer in view, this current strategic orientation or contemporary strategic orientation needs to have clear business focus and clear business goals wherever possible. At least business focus should be very clear, because goals bante hain ya nahi bante, it will depend on the nature of that company, on the nature of that business, on many other factors. But having a clear business focus is a must, and also establishing inter-organizational linkages. Because now we cannot provide everything to that customer on our own. So we need to collaborate with other organizations. We need to understand this customer from the point of view of our competitors, from the point of view of our suppliers. So we need to sit with them. We need to take them as partners rather than as adversaries, rather than as enemies. We need to change that strategic orientation. And we need to understand that industry now, under the influence of globalization, is not a set of companies which are at dagger drawns with each other, but it is a place where companies are forming inter-organizational linkages and collaborations to help out their customer or to help themselves survive in the face of this informative, knowledgeable and demanding customer. And we have already discussed the various inter-organizational linkages, tools and techniques when we were discussing this issue in detail, and we talked about interlocking directorates, and we talked about co-optations, and we talked about advertising, and we talked about executive recruitment, and we talked about public relationing. All these tools are there, and they are used to create linkages with other organizations so that we increase the sphere of our influence. And when we increase the sphere of our influence, when we increase our networks, when we increase our coalitions, we become more resourceful, we become more responsive to what our customers are demanding from us. So the first major change which a company needs under the pressures and under the demands of globalization is to have a strategic orientation which pits them close to their customer, which provides them linkages with other organizations. So that is the changes required in the strategic orientation of a company under current scenario of globalization. Another way through which companies can add to their organizational excellence is the top management orientation. एक तो है strategic orientation, the process of strategic management and its own orientation. But what about the top management as individuals? They need to be people with a leadership vision, not only there because of their position or authority, not only there because they own that business or because their family own that business, but because they have a vision, they can create future for people. Through their business, it is not only the external customer which has become knowledgeable and informed, but it is also the internal customer, your employee, which has also become knowledgeable and informed and which has also many options to move around from one company to the other. So therefore we need to cater to that customer, which is our own employee. And the best way to cater to his needs is to create a future for him. And not only a future in words, but a future which is practical, a future which is attainable, so that that employee works for that future and in that process takes the company there. So it is important to have a strategic orientation, first of all from customers' point of view, and then individually the top management, they need the skill of being a visionary leader. And apart from that, not only that they need to have a leadership vision, they also need to have a bias towards action, change and learning. because this is also a direct result of globalization, that the world changes very quickly now. Consumer tastes change very quickly now. Product life cycle change very quickly. Most of the IT products have very short life cycles. So in order to cater to this change, the leadership now needs to be also very, very action-oriented and not shy of change and learning. Because if they don't learn, which learning means if they don't learn from their environment, if they don't learn from their own mistakes, then they will not change. And when they don't learn and change, they will perish. Because this consumer of today and this environment of today is ruthless as far as the company's stability or survival is concerned. Those days are probably gone when people entered in organizations and they had a 9-to-5 sort of job and they enjoyed that job for a lifetime, and because the companies had their customers for lifetime. Now the customers are so informative and so knowledgeable and so demanding that they will shift. They will switch companies in no time. So that means that only those companies can retain their customers who have leaders sitting up there who are not shy of changing, who are not shy of learning, and who need to take action rather than giving commands and giving directions. And also those leaders who promote the core values of a company, because it is through promoting those values that they can create loyalty and commitment for organization, for the employees. And as far as the customers, the external customers are concerned, it is again the core values of that company which will retain those external customers. And what could be a mix of core values in today's business environment? It could be, as we said, customer orientation. It could be quality. It could be quick response to customers. And if you stick to these core values and if you promote these core values inside the organization as well as outside the organization through your actions, through your moves, through your product messages, then you can win over the customers, because you are putting in their mind that this is a company which will cater to your needs, no matter how complicated they are, no matter how quick answer you demand, but this company is there to help you, this company is there to assist you. And also facilitating the knowledge management process occurring inside the company, because knowledge is created inside the company. Knowledge is retained in the organizational structure through capabilities and competencies and reporting relationships. So facilitating and managing that process of knowledge creation and knowledge management is also the role of leadership for contemporary managers and for today's organizations. So two variables we have discussed under the head of organizational excellence. One is the strategic orientation. The other one is the top management orientation. In strategic orientation, customers occupy a central place now. And in top management orientation, again the customers, internal customers as well as the external customers occupy a central place. Third variable or third issue which is important in talking about the organizational excellence is the issue of organizational design. And we have discussed the designs in detail, mechanistic designs and organic designs, the flat structures, and what is the need of today. The need of today is not very, as we can see, that large companies, stability, large periods of very stable revenues, those times have probably passed. Now companies have products which have short life cycles, intense competition. Therefore, there is pressure on organizational design to adopt or adapt to these changes occurring in the environment. So the best design, I mean, there couldn't be any prescriptive way of influencing companies that you should have this strategic orientation or you should have this sort of organizational design. But if we look at the research which is conducted generally for industry, that shows us that those companies which have designs which are simple form and lean staff. Simple form means not very complicated structures, not very tall hierarchies, flat structures, mostly in the line of horizontal structures. And lean staff means, as I said, no more hierarchies, no more layers of hierarchies at managers and assistant managers and deputy managers and this manager and that manager. Now, what is required is a lean staff, because now the emphasis is on quality, cost, fast delivery. And that is only possible if you have an organizational design which can deliver fast response to the customer. If you have a design which is heavily mechanistic, very tall hierarchy, then it will be very difficult for that company to provide quick responses to customers. And therefore, the organizational design needs to be simple, but horizontal and with lean staff. People working in the organization, the employees, they need to be empowered in the true sense of the word. Empowerment not only in the academic sense, but really you have to give the power of decision making, you have to delegate it to the lower levels, and it's not only the delegation of decision making, you have to upgrade the skills and capabilities of those people so that they can make quality decisions. Because if they are making bad decisions, then the company is not gaining any organizational excellence. If the empowerment and delegation will only work if people to whom the authority or the decision-making power is delegated are making good decisions. So for that, they will need capabilities and skills and competencies which will be provided by the company. So you empower your people. Before empowering them, empowering means first provide them skills, give them competencies, give them training, then give them the decision-making authority as well. Otherwise, you are only delegating your work to a lower level where obviously value is not added. Horizontal structures is another demand of today's environment, is another demand for organizational excellence, because without horizontal structures, company, as we have already seen, will find it very difficult to respond quickly to the customers. And not only horizontal structure, but a structure which promotes, and a horizontal structure does promote collaboration. Collaboration, because integration is the name of the game today. Departments which are well knit with each other, which are well integrated, departments which understand their own needs and the organizational needs and the needs of the customers, and they also know how to collaborate to serve those needs, will survive. And there should be a balance between financial and non-financial measures of performance. And that is important, because so far, organizational excellence is mainly concerned with फाइनेंशियल परफॉर्मेंस. क्योंकि अगर आप परफॉर्मेंस देखें किसी कंपनी की, तो मेनली उसके इंडिकेटर्स जो देखे जाते हैं वो प्रॉफिटेबिलिटी है, रिटर्न ऑन इन्वेस्टमेंट है और प्रॉफिटेबिलिटी. बट नाउ देयर इज मोर एम्फेसिस ऑन नॉन फाइनेंशियल क्राइटेरियाज ऑफ परफॉर्मेंस, लाइक एम्प्लॉय सेटिस्फैक्शन, लाइक कस्टमर सेटिस्फैक्शन. सो इन दोनों के बीच में फाइनेंशियल और नॉन फाइनेंशियल मेजर्स ऑफ परफॉर्मेंस, जो बैलेंस स्कोर कार्ड अप्रोच है, इनके बीच में एक हार्मनी क्रिएट करनी, एक बैलेंस क्रिएट करना है. ये ना हो कि हम बाकी चीज़ों में तो कस्टमर ओरिएंटेड हूँ, एम्प्लॉय ओरिएंटेड हूँ, बट व्हेन इट कम्स टू मेजरिंग द परफॉर्मेंस ऑफ ए कंपनी, देन वी आर ओनली मेजरिंग द रिवॉर्डिंग दैट डिपार्टमेंट और रिवॉर्डिंग दैट कंपनी आउट ऑफ अ ग्रुप ऑफ कंपनीज विच अर्न्स मोर प्रॉफिटेबिलिटी. ठीक है, प्रॉफिटेबिलिटी इज द लाइफ ब्लड. But if that profitability is coupled with customer care, employee care, fast response to customer, then it is important. But if that profitability is a one-time situation, or it is because of a seasonal variation or some other variation, then it is not going to be long sustained if it is not accompanied by the strategic and the top management orientations which we have discussed. Therefore, it is imperative, it is important to create that balance now. And also, use of electronic technology. Companies which are catering to customers of today, as we have already mentioned, the customer of today is very knowledgeable. He can use computer, he can order through his mobile, he can order through his computer. And if we are not catering through e-commerce or through electronic technology to his demands and queries, then he will go somewhere else. Because he can shop around sitting in his living room, sitting on his machine. He can shop around. He just needs to have a valid credit card, and he needs to be above the age of 18, and he can shop around. So if we have given him that facility, then the chances are that he will stick to us. But if we have forced him to come to our shops, then definitely he will shop around on the computer and will not physically take that effort to go to the market, find the shop, and then shop around physically, get tired, and then waste 2 hours on it. वो marketing, वो shopping का जो concept है वो कुछ बदल रहा है. In our country, I have said कुछ, but otherwise it has changed a lot. In other countries, in Western countries, for example, the concept has changed a lot, and you will not find as many shoppers over the weekend as you used to find some 10, 15 years ago. It is occurring because of the availability of e-commerce, which people can utilize while sitting comfortably at their homes and doing some other activities as well. And the fourth variable which creates organizational excellence is the organizational culture itself. Does that culture create a climate of trust? Does that culture share information? Does that culture encourage productivity through people? Does that culture take a long-term view of the situation? And does that culture value learning and adaptation? If that culture is like that, then it will be able to sustain the demands and pressures of globalization. But if it is a culture which does not promote trust, जहाँ पर लोगों ने अपनी empires बना रखी हैं, जहाँ पे information hoarding है, knowledge hoarding है instead of knowledge sharing, where the productivity is not encouraged through people, where a short-term view is taken, and where learning and adaptation is not valued, that sort of organization is not going to survive in these variations, in these conditions, in these current or contemporary conditions. So organizational excellence is the need of the hour. It is not a fancy management term which consultants use to churn money. It is not it's not a fad or a fashion which will come and go. The globalization is bound to increase. The impact of globalization will only increase for some years to come. Therefore, the need for organizational excellence will be there, will stay. इसलिए हमने जो ये 4 वेरिएबल डिस्कस किए हैं, they are important in formulating a response to globalization. Now we will move to the other related topic, another contemporary trend in organization. One we have seen is the trend of creating organizational excellence, and the other is various designs which are created for this global arena. Because now the companies cannot remain truly domestic. Especially the companies in developing and developed countries, they cannot truly remain domestic if they want to really make it big. Now, the stages of international development, company एक जब शुरू होती है और वहाँ से जब तक वो global बनती है, there are various stages in it, and we will like to discuss those stages so that we can understand in our coming discussion what should be the design for this global arena. But let's first discuss what are the stages through which a company will pass if it becomes a global company. Now, as I already mentioned, there are 4 stages that many companies will go through as they evolve full-fledged global operations. First stage is the stage which we call as this domestic stage. Domestic because company is domestically oriented, एक country में वो बनी है. Managers are aware of the global environment, but their focus is in one country. Structure is typically functional in a domestic company, or it could be divisional depending on the size of the company. Initial foreign sales are, अगर sales आप फर्ज करें हो भी रही हैं foreign countries में, ये domestic companies में वो sale होंगी through a separate export department. And you can have many examples in real life where you know businesses which are producing for domestic consumption, but they also have an interest in foreign sales, and for that, to check it out, they have established an export department and they are handling their foreign sales through that particular department. Details of custom and freight issues are handled by outsiders. Domestic stage पे जो company होगी उसमें अंदर इतनी expertise नहीं है legal कि वो custom और freight issues की detail को खुद handle कर सकें. So they will let it be handled by freight agents or custom agents or some sort of consultants. So the first stage is the domestic stage, in which the main focus is producing products for that particular country where the company is operating. A little bit of interest in foreign sales is handled through a separately built export department. Second stage जिसमें companies enter होती हैं after being a domestic company is the international stage. International stage में company takes the export seriously. पहले तो they were only tinkling with exports, they were just trying their hand and were seeing कि ये वाला हमारा product फ्लां country में कैसा चलेगा, ये वहाँ कैसा चलेगा. Now they have had a couple of big orders and they have now started to take their exports seriously. And they developed a multi-domestic focus. Multi-domestic focus कहिए कि company deals with each country individually. Like if they have three, एक company है जो पाकिस्तान में जिसने operation शुरू किए, तो domestic stage पे थी. उन्होंने थोड़ा interest show किया, अपने product को यूरोप भेजा और 2 या 3 countries ने उनको बड़े orders दिए. अब वो उन 2 या 3 countries को individually लेगी company, like for example if it is France or Belgium or England. So the company will develop relations with them individually. At this point, the international division has actually replaced the old export department. पहले हमने domestic में discuss किया. The companies, if they have interest in foreign sales, will have export department. But now, since they have orders from 2 or 3 countries and they are catering to those countries as their customers, so they will have now an international division in place of that export department, and specialists will now be hired to handle sales, service and warehousing abroad. Because now, imagine if you are a company in Pakistan with an international division, what will that international division do? Because production तो आपकी यहाँ से हो रही. That international division will handle how sale networks need to be developed in Belgium or France or UK. किस तरह वहाँ पर कस्टमर सर्विस को डेवलप करना है, किस तरह वहाँ पर स्टोरेज और वेयर हाउसिंग फैसिलिटीज को डेवलप करना है, यानी प्रोडक्ट के जो चैनल्स हैं वो आपने किस तरह एस्टेब्लिश करने हैं, और कस्टमर रिलेशनिंग, दिस ऑल विल बी कंडक्टेड बाय योर इंटरनेशनल डिवीजन. So your company has now passed from the stage of domestic company to a stage of international company, and once your company has gained extensive experience in a number of international markets, then it becomes a multinational company. So multinational company हम किसे कहेंगे? Multinational company will be that company which has over the years gained extensive experience and exposure in many international markets, not just 1 or 2 countries, which is present in 3 or 4 continents, and it has established manufacturing, marketing and R&D facilities in several foreign countries. Not having production, marketing and R&D facilities in the home country and dealing with the foreign countries through international division, no. But this company has now developed the manufacturing, marketing, R&D and other functions in the foreign countries, and there's a large part of the revenues are through international sales. Domestic sale अब आपकी कम हो गई और international sale बढ़ गई है, because now you're catering to many countries, because you have had a long history of international experience, and now you're actually present as a company. You're giving employment to the foreigners because you're present in their country. You have plants in their country. You have marketing divisions in their country. You have your R&D facilities in their countries. So you have your managers sitting in their countries. Now you have purely and truly become a multinational concern. But globalization से पहले भी companies तो multinational थी. So can't we say that 40 years ago there was no multinational company? We can't say that. There were multinational companies. So what has globalization done, and what new design or what new stage of company development has globalization come up with? The fourth stage is called the global stage. Global stage mein the company now transcends any single country. Now it becomes a stateless corporation. I'm sorry, I cannot take name of any such brand or company here, but I am itching to, but I can't. But stateless organizations हैं जिनके ब्रांड का आपको पता है, आपको उनकी कंट्री ऑफ ओरिजिन का नहीं पता. ये फलां ब्रांड, यू नो दैट ब्रांड, यू नो कि ये घर में भी यूज हो रहा है या आपके ऑफिस में भी यूज हो रहा है. इन्हीं के मैं फलां चीज ले रहा हूं, इन्हीं के मैं प्रोडक्ट का नाम भी नहीं ले रहा बिकॉज इट विल देन बिकम वेरी ऑब्वियस. बट देयर आर स्टेटलेस ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस. The entire world is their marketplace. It is not only the Asian countries or it is not only the European countries कि यहाँ पे हम कपड़ा भेजेंगे, यहाँ पर हम खेल का सामान भेजेंगे. For them, whole of the world is their market. And these companies have organizational structures which are quite complex. और इसी टॉपिक पे हमने इंशाल्लाह आना है. What should be the design and structure of such companies which claim themselves to be the global companies. And these stages which we have discussed, ये 4 stages जो आपके सामने आई, domestic और then international, then multinational, then global. इसमें globalization ने सिर्फ ये नहीं है कि global organizations के create करने में तेजी आ गई, ऐसा नहीं है. Because if the company has to pass through these 3 initial stages and then become global, obviously the process will take time even today. No company can become truly global company from domestic company overnight. ऐसा तो नहीं होगा. Especially if we are defining global as a stateless organization. But now, what globalization has given is that through the technology, through the IT and through the information technology and computer technology, हुआ ये है that many companies have started to subcontract many of their functions in areas or in countries where they are cheap. So इसमें ग्लोबल बनने की तरफ जाने का मौका ज्यादा है कंपनीज की तरफ के लिए. आप यहाँ बैठे हैं एंड इफ यू हैव और यू आर सिटिंग इन अ डेवलप्ड कंट्री, तो आपने अपनी प्रोडक्शन पूरी की पूरी किसी डेवलपिंग कंट्री में सब कॉन्ट्रैक्ट कर दी. मार्केटिंग और आईटी भी आपने किसी फीजिबल जगह पे सब कॉन्ट्रैक्ट कर दी एंड यू आर जस्ट हैविंग अ स्मॉल ऑफिस एंड हेड ऑफिस एंड यू आर ऑपरेटिंग ग्लोबली. ये पॉसिबिलिटी है जो ग्लोबलाइजेशन ने क्रिएट की है. एंड ग्लोबल ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस के लिए ऑब्वियसली मल्टीनेशनल ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के लिए अब शायद ग्लोबल बनना निस्बतन आसान होगा, बिकॉज द इंटायर वर्ल्ड इज देयर मार्केट प्लेस, बिकॉज दे हैव एक्सेस टू इंटायर वर्ल्ड. आज से 20 साल पहले शायद उनकी एक्सेस इंटायर वर्ल्ड पे नहीं थी. अगर आपने 25 साल 30 साल पहले किसी प्रोडक्ट को, कंज्यूमर प्रोडक्ट को मार्केट करना है, तो आप उसे कहाँ मार्केट करते? हर एक कंट्री के टीवी चैनल पे जाकर तो मार्केट नहीं कर सकते, दुनिया के हर मैगजीन में मार्केट नहीं कर सकते. अब आप एक बड़ी सी वेबसाइट, कोई बनी हुई वेबसाइट जो दूसरी कोई सर्च इंजन है फॉर एग्जांपल, उसके ऊपर अपनी स्ट्रिप चला दें, इट विल बी कॉस्टली बट योर रीच विल बी ग्लोबल. और you run an ad on a channel which is seen in 60 or 65 countries, again your reach is almost global. So this is how, globalization has affected us, that it has increased our reach, it has given us much more consumers, and at the same time, it has given us opportunities. There's no doubt in it. But it has posed challenges on us and on organizations as well. Because catering to global audience, catering to making an ad for global audience, for example, is a huge challenge. आप एक नेशनल, एक कंट्री के लिए ऐड बनाना ही चैलेंज है. आप उसको रेलेवेंट भी रखें, आप उसको इंटरेस्टिंग भी रखें, आप उसमें प्रोडक्ट मैसेज भी पूरा का पूरा दिखाएं, आप उसमें कुछ अनएथिकल चीज़ भी ना करें, आप उसमें बोर्डम का एलिमेंट भी ऐड होने ना दें, और आप लोगों के माइंड में अपना ब्रांड नेम भी स्टिक करें. अपने कल्चर में तो ये क्रिएट करना शायद इतना मुश्किल नहीं है, बट क्रिएटिंग इट इन अदर कल्चर्स इज डिफिकल्ट, एंड दैट कैन ओनली बी डन if we understand those other cultures. So, यहाँ से अब बात जो हम बन रही है वो कुछ इस तरह की है that globalization has opened up opportunities for us, but at the same time it has put many demands on us. अगर हम diversity की बात करते हैं and we say that world is now becoming more and more diverse, workforce is becoming more and more diverse, companies are becoming more and more diverse, it is good. But at the same time, it is putting a pressure on the top management to understand the diversity. Because if they don't understand the diversity, then they cannot manage it. इसी तरह जैसे मैंने यहाँ एग्जांपल दी कि आपने किसी भी कंपनी ने अपना एक प्रोडक्ट से फ्रांस में, यूके में, जर्मनी में लॉन्च किया. And if you want to make an ad for those countries, you need to understand the culture of those countries. You need to understand what interests their people. क्या बात वो सुनते हैं, क्या वो नहीं सुनते, उसके मुताबिक फिर आपको अपना एड, अपना मैसेज टेलर करना पड़ेगा. सो डाइवर्सिटी तो आ गई, लेकिन डाइवर्सिटी को मैनेज भी फिर हमने करना. बिकॉज इफ वी कांट मैनेज द डाइवर्सिटी, देन वी कैन नॉट क्लेम टू बी ट्रूली ग्लोबल. सो दिस इज फ्रॉम वेयर वी हैव taken the start of our discussion on the contemporary issues in organizations, because during any phase in history, during any point in time, there is always a time, there is always a zamana which is called contemporary. वो चाहे आज से 100 साल पहले हो या आज से 300 साल पहले हो, contemporary zamana तो हमेशा रहा. Not today's zamana या कंटेम्परेरी जो आजकल सिचुएशन है, दैट इज वेरी वेरी डिफरेंट फ्रॉम वर्ल्ड द सिविलाइज्ड वर्ल्ड हैज सीन सो फार. क्योंकि पेस इतना क्विक है, उसकी वजह से जो हमने पिछले 100 साल में ये लगता था कि 20th सेंचुरी में जो गेन किया साइंस ने या मैनेजमेंट ने, वो शायद पिछले कई हजार सालों में गेन नहीं किया गया. और अब ये कहा जाता है कि इन 10-15 सालों में जितना टेक्नोलॉजी ने ग्रो किया है, वो शायद पिछले तमाम इराज को मिला के उतना ग्रो उस तमाम टाइम पीरियड में नहीं किया. सो वी कैन सी दैट द ग्रोथ इज नाउ अकरिंग इन कंप्रेस्ड सेट टाइम के जो होते हैं ना, आपने कह लीजिए सेट पीसेस में ग्रोथ हो रही. वो ग्रोथ जो हजारों साल में हुई, वो 100 साल में पहले हुई, और फिर वो ग्रोथ जो 100 साल और हजारों सालों में मिला के हुई, उससे बढ़ के 10-15 साल में ग्रोथ होगी. So what does that, in terms of implications, what implication does phenomena has on us, on the companies, on the organization, is what we are trying to discuss. And that is precisely the pressure which I mentioned in the beginning. It is not only the pressure of digitalization and pressure of learning new technology. It is the pressure of dealing with people who are technology enabled. It is the pressure of dealing with the competitors who are technology enabled. It is the pressure of dealing with suppliers who are technology enabled. So in that environment of technology, you have to be technology enabled, that there is no doubt about it. But you have also to understand others. और वो जो others थे, अब वो सिर्फ आपकी कंट्री के या आपके रीजन के लोग नहीं हैं. Those others now involve people who are very different culturally, who have different religious values, who have different cultural values, who have different norms, who have different traditions, who have different rites, who have different ceremonies. And if we don't understand all those rites and ceremonies and norms, we cannot reach those people. Technology again can help us. It can explore, it can help us in exploring databases, it can help us in doing our research, but we have to take a start. And if we don't grab this initiative, then in spite of being a member of this society, in spite of being living in this era, we will miss out this era completely, because we will not be moving in the direction where the world is taking us. The world of management, the world of organizations is changing very, very rapidly. Text books में आपको ये changes शायद इतनी quickly नजर ना आए, because text books में changes आते आते theories बनते कुछ time लगता है. लेकिन अगर आप journals पढ़ते हैं, academic journals पढ़ते हैं, वहाँ पे आप sense करेंगे that the theory itself, the organizational theory, the organization design, the metaphors used to describe organizations, they all are undergoing changes. At least one thing which the literature is not documenting very clearly is that organizations are extremely vague entities and you can describe them as if they are systems. जैसे हमने इस कोर्स में throughout describe किया organizations को as open systems. But we can't say that organizations are really open systems. They are as if they are systems. So हम जब organization को as a machine describe करते हैं, organization की efficiency, उसका ये part, उसका this part, and किस तरह आपस में वो मिले हैं, we are describing organization as if it were a machine, not that it is a machine. Or when we describe organization, like we discussed in population ecology, and we described organizations as niches and as population ecologies, we are not saying that organizations are ecosystems, or we are saying they are as if they are ecosystems. So the understanding about organizations and the description of organization is undergoing a change. The literature is realizing that we cannot have a hardcore stance and we cannot always describe organization like we do the elements of a physical system. Or we cannot always describe organizations like we do describe the elements of a biological system. So इसमें हर point of view अब इसके बारे में knowledge, information ज़्यादा है, उसके ऊपर जो एतराज़ात हैं वो बेहतर समझे जा रहे हैं. So we need to, we the managers, we the people who are either teachers or managers or who are involved with organizations, we need to understand that these organizations are going a massive change, the same change which our families have seen, which I have been describing to you. कहाँ था वो ज़माना 20 साल पहले where our families could watch 150 channels on the TV? Where was that time? मैचेस तो तब भी दुनिया जान में होते थे, पर हम तो सिर्फ वो मैचेस देखते थे जो पाकिस्तान में होते थे या जिसमें पाकिस्तान इन्वॉल्व होता था. Now we can watch cricket, football, hockey, any game, basketball, anything across the world, not involving our country, happening around the year, 7 days a week, around the clock. So that means our lives have changed. That means the influence of जो लोग स्पोर्ट्स में इंटरेस्टेड हैं उनकी लाइफ में इसका इम्पैक्ट बहुत ज्यादा है. जो लोग एंटरटेनमेंट में इंटरेस्टेड हैं उनके ऊपर भी एंटरटेनमेंट का इफेक्ट बहुत ज्यादा है अब, बिकॉज नाउ दे आर एक्सपोज टू डिफरेंट काइंड ऑफ एंटरटेनमेंट. बच्चों के लिए देयर आर मे बी 10, 15, 20 चैनल्स. सो वी डिड नॉट हैव दीज सॉर्ट ऑफ सराउंडिंग्स और फैसिलिटीज अराउंड अस 10, 15, 20 years ago, पर अब वो मौजूद हैं. वी कैन नॉट शाई अवे फ्रॉम देम. इसी तरह जहां हम काम करने जाते हैं ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस में, वहां पर भी चेंजेस आ चुकी हैं, आ रही हैं. इफ वी इग्नोर दीज चेंजेस तो फिर हमारी स्टोरी में, और वो बॉइलिंग फ्रॉग की स्टोरी जो मैंने आपको शायद पहले सुनाई भी थी कि वो फ्रॉग बैठा रहेगा, बॉयल होता रहेगा, आहिस्ता आहिस्ता पानी गर्म करते रहेंगे, उसको कुछ पता ही नहीं चलेगा. सो हमें अपने सेंसर्स को तेज करना पड़ेगा. Those sensors which can warn us about changes in the environment, हमें उन सेंसर्स को तेज करना पड़ेगा, वरना एनवायरनमेंट तो चेंज होता जाएगा. अगर हम ही अपग्रेडेड नहीं हैं, अगर हमारे ही सेंसर्स आउट ऑफ डेट हैं, तो हमें एनवायरनमेंट की चेंजेस का खबर तब होगी जब हम पैरिश हो चुके होंगे. सो इन ऑर्डर टू सर्वाइव and grow, we need to have many more skills now as compared to our immediate past. हमारे मैनेजर्स में बहुत सी वो स्किल्स चाहिए जो शायद 20-25 साल पहले के मैनेजर्स में नहीं चाहिए. शायद उनमें इतनी इंटीग्रेशन, कोलैबोरेशन और टीम वर्क की कैपेबिलिटीज रिक्वायर्ड नहीं थी जो आज रिक्वायर्ड. Therefore, the design for this new global arena, the design for the companies is going to change. बहुत सी तो टेक्स्ट बुक अब ऐसी भी हैं ऑर्गेनाइजेशन थ्योरी और डिजाइन के ऊपर which have stopped using the word design for organization. जैसे जब वर्ड डिजाइन यूज किया जाता है तो लगता है हम ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस को कोई प्रिस्क्रिप्शन दे रहे हैं कि आप मैकेनिस्टिक बन जाएं, आप ऑर्गेनिक बन जाएं, आप दिस बन जाएं, दैट बन जाएं. They say that there is no such prescription available at all. There is so much of information and there is so much of reality की इतनी sides हैं that you cannot provide one prescription to an organization. Therefore, they use the term organizational form rather than organizational design. आप आज अगर mechanistic हैं, maybe tomorrow you will become organic and then maybe you will become more organic or maybe it will become something else. So you will keep on changing your organizational form rather than having a fixed design. So I'm not discounting whatever we have discussed about design because conceptually what we discussed still applies, will always be valid. But please don't understand organizations as having only two designs, mechanistic and organic. There are many forms which they take in between. And those forms are affected by the environment. Environment or organization ka link you understand very well. And globalization is occurring in our environment, in our immediate environment as well as in our distant environment, in our task environment as well as in our general domain. ग्लोबलाइजेशन को हम एस्केप तो नहीं कर सकते, ना हम अपनी कंट्री में बैठ के एस्केप कर सकते हैं, ना हम बाहर की कंट्रीज में जाके एस्केप कर सकते हैं, बिकॉज दैट इज द ऑर्डर ऑफ द डे एंड इट हैज स्प्रेड बिकॉज countries and people are connected now. Information can be shared very quickly. Therefore, all those fashions which used to come to us 2 years late or 3 years late, they come to us as soon as they come to the other world. यहाँ पे जो होता है, it reaches abroad as soon as it is produced here. If it is available on machines. If it is just available in our shops, तो फिर वो shops तो हमारे अपने लोगों के लिए हैं. फिर हम उनसे एक्सपोर्ट बेनिफिट नहीं उठा सकेंगे, फिर हम दुनिया को वो प्रोडक्ट नहीं बेच सकेंगे unless until we market it to people, unless until we take advantage of this technology in production, in marketing, in R&D, we will not be able to sustain the demands of globalization. We will continue this important discussion, inshallah, in our next session. But till then, it is Khuda Hafiz. Thank you very much.